there, welcome to the Lumerian Collective. It's great to be back with you. I'm Lisa Kay. I'm an intuitive counselor and energy practitioner, channeler, and psychic medium. And this channel is really dedicated to those of you who resonate with the terms Lightworker, StarSeed, that could be Pleiadians or something else, and also the term Lumeria or Lumerian, whichever you prefer. And this is a space and time where I tap into those collective energies and really look for messages that are here to support you on your particular journey. And so I want to look at the energies this week about what is inspiring you this week, or it could even be like, what do you need to be inspired this week? Obviously, the times are very strained. We've been going down this very unique and interesting energetic path for the past many, many years, but it's particularly escalated over the last 4 to 5 years in ways that just allow many of us to feel a little ungrounded and a little uncertain in the world. So again, my hope is through these messages, it allows you to find some reference point for your own clarity and your own grounding and your own healing through these times. So with that, let's go ahead and take a look at what's inspiring you, or what do you need to be inspired this week? What do you need to be inspired? Oh, interesting. What do you need to be inspired? Oh, okay. Let's take a look here. Let's see what these energies are. Oh, I love it. The first energy, spirit guide. We have boundaries, closure. That's interesting. That's for somebody here. And forgiveness. Let's see, where can we put this? And forgiveness. So let's start with this beautiful energy of spirit guide. What a great energy to come through. I'm going to take a moment to just tune into this energy before I bring this message forward. Oh, this is a beautiful message. So as I dive a little deeper into this energy of spirit guide, what I'm getting for some of you is that this is a time of kind of diving a little bit deeper, not only diving deeper into your own practices and studies and as it relates to your connection with spirit and how you experience that, but this is also about this very deep focus and intentional practice on connecting in with your own higher self, like your own inner wisdom. And ultimately, depending on how you view this, my view is that it's all really one thing anyway. It's not like some separate thing that lives outside of us that we're seeking. When we tap into these energies, whether we experience them as universal energies or personal energies, in my view, we're tapping into the same thing. It's all part of the one, right? These are not separate things. However, to be able to communicate with about them and to be able to interact with them, sometimes we have to create in our minds a mental kind of separation so that we can find a way to be in relationship with them. So in this case, this is about being in relationship with yourself in a very, very deep way. There's a part of this energy that is about, there's kind of a lot of messages here. Let's see if I can discern them all. So for some of you, this is tapping into that deeper energy that you identify as starseed energy or Lumerian energy, however that resonates for you, but tapping into like your soul's origins. And from that place of connecting in with the soul's origin, there's a lot of learning that happens there, and a lot of understanding about what you're doing here in the world, why the world is the way that it is. And this is just a very deep dive. I see this as like a very important part of your journey right now. And Yeah, just really tapping into those origins, like your origin story, your soul's origin story. This is kind of cool. And I actually could see this for some of you. If this resonates, but you're not quite sure how to access that, maybe this is something new to you. One thing you might consider is just start journaling, like make up a story. What do you think your soul's origins are? Where do you think you come from? If you had to just make it up and imagine, um, what it means to be part of the universe and how you came into being, like just start writing that story. I feel like for some of you that will actually kind of shake things loose and help to give you a better clarity about who you are in this much bigger way. And again, you'll get to know me if you keep watching my channel. You'll get to know my philosophy that really it's all one thing, right? So we are not separated from this idea of spirit or soul or 12th dimension or fifth dimension. These things are all happening now. We just may or may not be able to access them all from where we our position in the universe. You know what I mean? But all of that is still out there. So. That is a really cool message for some of you. I'm also seeing something about ceremony in this energy, reflecting, being a space of reflecting back to others the light of who they are. So in your process of understanding your own inner light and your own higher self, you're going to be able to use some of that to reflect back to others. And they're telling me this is really important, actually, that this is in large part what we're all here doing now, or trying to do now in the midst of all this, wild and crazy energy and the weird things happening in the world that just feels so out of control at times. Our role as light workers is this. Right? It's to do our own healing. It's to understand and connect in with our higher wisdom, our higher selves, and then to be that mirror back to the world. And that is how we bring healing to the world, right? We don't have to step into other people's energy. We don't have to, try to save them from their lives or, keep them from being on the path that they're on. But we simply, by showing up as a being of light, as a person of integrity and love, we are influencing and impacting and healing the world around us. Really beautiful message. Let's transition over into this energy of boundaries. These are actually very connected energies. This is kind of the balance point to this energy. The boundaries is the balance point to the spirit guide energy. So I was talking about, how through our own healing, we're mirroring back to the world, the truth of who they are, the light of who they are. And this energy of boundaries is about recognizing how to contain our own energy in a way that is healthy and healing for our own bodies and our own being. It's also here about tapping into your inner magic. Some of you may be in the realm of focused on manifestation. This has come up before. I feel like some of you are connected with that, world or that way of being in the world. So for some of you, this is like alchemical. This is about tapping into that alchemical energy and using that alchemical energy, like harvesting. I don't know where that came from. Harnessing that alchemical energy, to not only clarify your own energy and to be grounded in your own space, but again, to be they're telling me in this energy, it's more of like being a symbol of light, being a symbol of healing versus being a mirror. So there's a slightly different vibration here. One may resonate for you over the other. Oftentimes in general readings like this, because there's so much energy that's happening now and in the future for people who watch this in the future, it's kind of fascinating. But, like I said, the energy is all happening at the same time. So one of these energies may resonate more with some of you than others, for example. This energy is accomplishing sort of the same thing, but approaching it in a totally different way. This energy is more like ceremonial, alchemical, whereas this energy might be more about meditation and going inward. and tuning into your guidance system through channeling or however that works for you. We also have this energy of closure. This is very interesting. For some of you, this is more concrete, whereas this is kind of ethereal in a way, or starting very ethereal and moving more into the concrete. This energy of closure for some of you is truly about walking away from, like, you're closing the door on the past. For some of you, you're closing the door on certain parts of the past. And I see there's a little bit of hesitation energy here, like you're not quite sure, should I close the door completely? Should I leave the door open a little bit? We'll get a clarifier on that. Let's see if there's anything that comes through to help illuminate that energy further. Oh my God. We have the energy of passion. And I see this, I always see this energy. It's like, if you follow tarot at all, it's a little bit of like the devil energy. It's not a negative or positive thing, but it's kind of like, fire is good and fire is important, but too much fire can burn you out. So to me, this is an energy of like being thoughtful, not impulsive. So whatever you decide you're closing, the door on in the past, this is a message about being thoughtful and, being thoughtful about that. Let's see. I'm just curious to explore this energy a little bit more. So as they close the door on the past, where are they going? Where are they walking toward into? So we have the energy of happiness and commitment. So I read this energy as your desire in closing the door to the past is really to step into this level of happiness and contentment that you haven't experienced before. And you recognize at a soul level, like it's right within reach. This experience and energy of happiness is right within reach. And part of this happiness comes from your transformation and your evolution that has occurred, like the healing that's occurred as a result in part of closing that door on the past. It's like now you can step into this energy and this vibration more wholly. There's a little bit, for some of you, there's a little bit of fantasy energy here of like what it could be. Oh, how I wish it would be. This is like what it's not now, what life is not now that I want it to be. And again, just balancing that with, staying open, but not being impulsive, and balancing, I would say what's coming through here for me is like, do your best to listen to the true intuition, which comes from like your heart and your, let's see, for those of you this resonates with, it's like the energy that comes from your heart and your solar plexus. Sometimes we can be in the energy of the mind and in the thoughts in the head. And that's a very different energy that can lead us to being impulsive because our minds and our thoughts are interpreting, what's around us, and we're interpreting things, and then we're reacting or responding to things. Whereas when we move into the heart energy and into that intuition, we have a much broader view. We see things from a more neutral perspective. And from that neutrality, we're able to ease into the next phase of what we're doing in a much more gentle, kind, and loving way to ourselves, right? But also just in terms of, wherever we happen to be going. So there may be other people involved here. So again, a little bit of a caution, like, as you're inspired to close the door on the past, there's just some additional energy here saying like, just be mindful about how you're going about that. For some of you, there's this experience of, I see two messages here. For some of you, this closing the door of the past allows you to open up to something so beautiful in the future. You may not even see what it is yet. You may just have a felt experience of it, but you may not know what it is yet. And you are moving in the direction of this very beautiful, very balanced, very nourishing commitment that fulfills you, like in some way that you're just, that just hasn't quite been on your radar yet. For others of you, this energy represents like commitment, but in the way that it feels like a heavy weight. Like, ooh, if I'm closing the door on the past, I'm moving through this transitional energy. I'm moving into something. I'm not quite clear what it is yet, but I have a sense that it's going to be this very weighty, like heavy committed thing. And part of you is kind of in doubt or in fear about that. Again, I don't think the guidance here changes much. I think it's really just about being in the heart and being really grounded in your intuition and doing your best not to be in a reactive or impulsive state. Next, we have this beautiful energy of forgiveness. Wow. Okay. Hold on. A lot of messages coming through. One sec. So for some of you, this energy is about enlightenment. This is about waking up to spirit in a way, again, that you haven't quite experienced before. For some of you, this is going to be like one day you're just going about your business. The next day you wake up and you're like a different person. They're also telling me here, this may be somebody who's watching in the future from when this is made. But they're telling me somebody here has had a near-death experience. And that near-death experience kind of like woke up their consciousness in this really just clear and beautiful way. It wasn't like, you might imagine, like I said, you go to bed one night, you're one person, you wake up the next day, you're someone else. That could be extremely jarring and discombobulating and like ungrounding. For whoever I'm talking to in this energy about the near-death experience, there may be more than one of you actually. Wow. Okay. That's a whole new energy for me. I've never had that come through in a reading before, but they're showing me that for those of you that this resonates with, for the majority of you who've had that experience and are listening to this reading, it was like a light bulb went on. A light bulb went on. It wasn't jarring. It wasn't difficult. It wasn't a terrible transition. It was just this new like awakening and awareness of the world in this whole new way. It gave you a whole new perspective. It's really beautiful energy. It's so funny. I I don't know why that energy is coming through. It's very interesting, but here you go. What can you do? For others of you, this is that energy of awakening and I can't speak today. The energy of waking up into a new perspective, waking up into a new way of being, or rather I think new perspective is the most accurate here. What more can we know about this energy for this collective? Oh, that's always such a sweet energy. The animals. Part of this awakening, for whoever this resonates with, part of this awakening is this expanded awareness of how connected we are to everything. I was talking about that in this first energy around spirit guide and how everything is, in my view, everything is connected, right? It's all one. So we have animals, spirit guides. We have animals in our lives, like physically in our day-to-day lives. This awakening, this kind of, it's not even quite an aha moment. It's really just like tapping into and tuning into this really high frequency energy. And for some of you, it gives you this awareness of like just how connected you are with the animals, and how you start to recognize how connected the animals are to the earth and to the planet and to life itself. And then, you're connected to that too. So you start to see how things are not separate. You start to see how connected and interwoven everything truly is, but from this perspective, which is, it's more of I would call it like an earth-based perspective, right? When we talked about the spirit guides here, I was talking about really like this influence of star energy, which has a very different vibration. And this has more of an earth energy vibration. So this might even be, for some of you, this might even be that you're an earth sign. So some of you where this is resonating, you may be air signs here, fire signs here, and then earth signs here. I don't normally look at signs, but that's just what's coming through. And then, of course, we have, this is like the inevitable energy that comes through in just about every reading in some way, shape, or form, is the energy of transformation. I'm getting a message from Spirit, like during this time of transformation, I think this came up earlier, but they're just restating here, like the importance of not getting wrapped around the axle about all the things that are happening in the world, like not buying too much into it. And this, it's challenging for us, especially in the Western Hemisphere, because it's so much part of our culture to believe that, you know, like politics and consuming and like all these things, we believe these are a part of our identity, and like it's our civic duty and it's our, you know, human right, and like all the stories that we have about who we are as a humanity or as a culture. They're just talking about like, be mindful not to get too wrapped up around the axle about any of that stuff. Like the more you can stay in your own energy and grounded in your own experience, the easier this transition is going to be during this time period. I use the analogy a lot of like the willow branch in the water. You know, a willow branch is flexible, so when the water is rushing, the willow branch can bend with the water. It does not break. Versus if you hunker down too much, you're like a tree, and then the water comes in, it knocks you out of your roots, and forget it. You know, that's the end of that. So, so this is an energy. It's just like supporting, like be like the willow, be strong, be grounded in who you are, but remain flexible. Try not to get too wrapped up around the axle about all the external things that are happening. Let's just see if there's any additional guidance here for you, for those of you this is resonating with. We have the energy of compassion and freedom. And what Spirit's telling me here is like, if you're, depending on how you identify or how you experience the world, something that might actually be very helpful for you personally, especially when I was in light of talking about how crazy and nutty the world is, right? What is something that you can do to improve your experience of things right now? And they're just reiterating, like, this is a time, like in your meditations, if you're an alchemical person, like an earth, you know, more of an earth or fire person, like you can be focused on just sending healing energy to the planet, to people, recognizing that you are bringing that vibration forward from the, you know, from the universe, if you will. You don't have to give of your own energy. You're just being intentional and bringing that intention into being. Just looking at this energy of freedom here. The message I'm getting for this energy related to this card, freedom, is, I feel like I've said this before, but it is coming up again, which is like, there may be, it's that idea that what's happening, I just had a conversation with a good friend of mine today about this. It's like what's happening outside of us does not dictate our joy or our happiness. We get to create joy and happiness within our own beings. Now, obviously, that's an intentional, conscious thing that we have to be willing to do, right? But that's the message they're giving me here, is like, you know, be more intentional about creating your own inner experience of freedom, your own inner experience of joy, your own inner experience of happiness, contentment. And they're actually telling me that if you are able to do that, as you're able to tap into that energy for yourselves, that it actually serves as a kind of protection against all of the crazy woo-woo stuff happening in the world. Yes, I just said crazy woo-woo. I'm not sure that's the best description, but I think you understand where I'm going with that. So let's just see if there's any closing messages. I'm going to use the Beyond Lumerian deck for any closing messages. Oh my. Closing messages for this collective, Spirit. Closing messages for this collective. Thank you. So this is the card. Oh, I love this energy. This says the violet flame. As we deepen our spiritual path, step out of illusory constructs and become empowered beings, life presents more opportunities to grow than ever before. Your sensitivity will be heightening, so it may be harder to spend time in places with certain energies. Do you have a range of accessible go-to practices for recentering, cleansing your aura, and protecting your energy field? A routine for psychic fitness will keep your aura strong and resilient, your energy sovereign, and your vibration high, and help you to see through illusions that block or distort. Bring the violet flame into your meditation and self-care practices for graceful rebalance. I feel like this is kind of what we just talked about in this reading. So I love that this is like a confirmation energy. All right. So thank you for being here. I hope there's something in this message that resonates for you and supports you on your journey. You can reach me at www.lightguided.com. There's more information in the description box below. And thank you again. Have a great rest of your day.